I have logged more than 1,000 hours inside Claude, and I still use it every single day to build tools, run workflows, and even launch million-dollar companies. Now, you might feel incredibly productive with Claude right now, but what if I told you you're barely scratching the surface? In this video, I'll take you through every level of Claude user, from the total amateur all the way to a person fully running and autonomous systems that operate without lifting a finger. Let's start with level 1, the amateur. The amateur treats Claude like a fancy Google search. One question in, one response back. Close the tab. No memory, no projects. Claude has no clue what you're working on and what you're using maybe 5% of what it can do. It's like using a NASA computer and using it to work out 2 + 2. If that's you, here are 2 pro tips to level up. First, make Claude interview you before it answers. Try something like, before you answer, ask me questions you need to do this task properly. Watch it come back with the questions that surface the context it needs to give you a much better answer. Second, make Claude check its own work. It'll catch its own mistakes, which is a little annoying because you would think it would get it right the first time, but the output improves. You can do this every day by simply saying, check your work. Before we move up a level though, we have to stop starting from scratch every time. So how do you give Claude a persistent memory? Level 2, the regular. The regular treats Claude like a workspace. They don't just chat with it. They use projects, our built-in Claude feature. Organized by role, by initiative, by client, by workflow. The best part is that Claude finally remembers who they are each time they're back, so the work keeps getting better. Here's how to set that up properly. Step 1, on the left side, click Create New Project, name it after the role you work in. In this example, we'll call it Marketing. That's your role. Step 2, build a master prompt for that role. So every time you chat, Claude knows who you are and what you're trying to accomplish. Type in, interview me to build a master prompt for my role as a marketer. Claude asks the questions, you answer, and you get the file back. That file is your master prompt, a set of instructions that tells the AI everything about you, how you like to work, what your team looks like, what tools you use, all of it. So every answer it gives is shaped by that context. Step 3, add your files. Drop the master prompt into the project file along with any other documents from your company. Sample data, examples, processes, whatever you've got, put it all in the files directory alongside in the master prompt. Now that you've got a customized space in the memory, context, and your own way of working baked in. For example, every time I sit down to make a YouTube video, I have a project folder that helps me ideate and gives me outline strategies. Into the files, I loaded everything in it could need. My voice document, my branding, examples of previous scripts I liked. It has everything required to build outlines the way I've built it in the past. I just point it in our direction, hit enter, and Claude hands me the outlines. Here's a pro tip if you want to push projects further. Ask the AI to interview you and create a system prompt for a specific workflow you've been trying to run through the chats. Think of the master prompt as your ingredients, everything about your context, and so on. The system prompt is the recipe. It's the instructions, the process. You almost certainly already have a process. You just never have written it down. So let the AI interview it out of you. Once you've got it, paste that system prompt into your custom instructions and watch the whole thing run like a machine. Same quality, same format every single time you use that project. So projects turn Claude into a workspace, like a desk with a process attached. But what about everything else? Email, calendar, all the work that lives in your browser. So that comes to level 3, the integrator. The integrator plugs Claude into tools where the work actually happens. We use Gmail, Calendar, Drive, Slack, Notion. The integrator wires those into Claude so they stop bouncing between tabs. Why copy and paste an email into Claude when you can just tell Claude to go get the email? Better still, you can now build and act inside Claude. The integrator doesn't leave the tool. They do the work in the tool and send over whatever it produces wherever it needs to go. Here's how to operate at the integrator level. 1. Use connectors. Hook up email, Drive, Slack, Notion, every system you rely on. Claude can connect those data sources and search them into your next time chatting. 2. Build visualizations. This is my favorite Claude feature. I can generate graphs, bar charts, and even mock-ups right inside the chat. 3. And even better, build interactive artifacts. These are the little mini apps with clickable outputs, sliders, and buttons. They make learning, visualizing information, and playing with data far easier. Here's an advanced move nobody talks about. You can paste text into chat and ask Claude to use it in Composer, which is basically a Google Doc living inside the chat. From there, you can edit and tweak it until the output is exactly what you wanted. My Claude is connected to my Google Drive, my Slack, my calendar, and my email. So I'm constantly saying, look at my calendar, tell me what I'm missing, look at my email, tell me what I need to know. I can run these almost daily, which is how I stay on top of everything. Want a pro tip on how to level up? Install Claude on Chrome. I use it all day long. Often I'll have a chat, work something out and say, write the instructions for me. Then I copy and paste it into Claude inside Chrome on whatever site I'm on, hit enter, and then it goes and does the work for me. This is great, but the truth is Claude is still only assisting you at this level. And the next one, Claude does the work for us. Level 4, the operator. This is where you stop being the doer and you start being the director. I think of it as a human in a loop. You're setting up the tasks that run on their own and you just review and approve. You stop using Claude and start deploying it to solve the problems for you. There are 3 ways any operator can deploy Claude to do work for them. First, system prompts. Have Claude interview you and create system prompts for any kind of output you produce. I believe the future of intellectual property and of what makes teams and companies valuable is having a system prompts defined for the things they create. Second, skills. Over time, you'll notice you keep repeating certain workflows and you can actually save those skills. Claude ships a huge library you can install, hundreds of them covering everything from finance to marketing. But you probably do proprietary things inside your company too. If so, create a / command, name it, run it, and then turn it into a skill. My rule, if I'm doing something more than 3 times a week, it may as well be a skill. For instance, I'm always wondering how the company is doing. So I've built a company status that pulls in the analytics, the metrics, the reports, and everyone's updates. Then it gives me a tight little snapshot of where things stand today. I type my company status and it happens every time. Third, scheduled co-work tasks. If you haven't come across co-work, it's an app that runs on your computer and can effectively take the machine over. You can hand it a job, like migrating from one system to another, hit enter, go have dinner, and come back to find it done. A good operator looks at their system, prompts in their skills, and asks, are there repeatable outputs I can schedule in co-work and have them run every day? For example, every night at 8 p.m., I get a message laying out my next day. It reads the emails and calendar and tells me everything I need to handle, like having a chief of staff. Now, I know what tomorrow holds, and if I need to make a last-minute change, I can. I set it up once and it runs every night without me thinking about it. The operator understands that with AI. You direct the work, you don't just do it. Here's a big pro tip, chain your skills. You might have a copyright skill that writes in your voice and an email writing skill that calls to copyright skill. Then both of those get called by another skill entirely, one that automates your inbox. Each skill is separately packaged, little genius agents, and chaining them together produces the whole outcome. The whole pipeline is chain skills. At this point, the operator is genuinely using AI. So schedules and skills automate things by using your existing tools and connectors, but what if the tool doesn't exist yet? Level 5, the builder. What you can do is use Claude to write and build custom apps, dashboards, and internal tools all inside Claude Code. At this point, Claude isn't just answering questions or running skills, it's shipping the whole software that produces a whole new layer of Claude Code. And for that, it's worth, if you're already operating here, you're in the top 0.04% of the population. Most people have no idea this exists. Inside Claude Code, there are 3 categories of building. The first I call is loops, recurring jobs that do the work. They're similar to co-work, they run on the server and can talk to other agents, other systems, and other APIs. They are far more advanced and they have loops because they never stop running. The second is tools, things you build for a one-off situation. Maybe you build a tool for a particular project or to get a specific thing done. It's not something you'll use forever, which is why I think of them as disposable. The third is apps, meaning real software. Everyone is involved in the hackathon. Here's a pro tip. 100% of the time before I build anything, I use plan mode. You type plan, a dump idea, and it takes everything you said, asks questions if it needs to, and writes a complete plan for you to approve before it writes a single line of code. Plan mode matters because people keep complaining. Micah, these AI app costs are too much to build. That's because you didn't plan upfront. Do this and you'll save a fortune. Pro tip plus, Claude Code Remote. I use it every time I step away from my laptop. In the terminal window, whether you're coding, type, remote control, it connects to your Claude app on your phone. It just keeps writing code. So we've covered building tools, right? But what if we could build team members? Level 6, the agent orchestrator. The orchestrator is an agent you design that actually runs something. Now it's a loop that keeps a department, a process, or a workflow running. And you're no longer involved because you've taken all the pieces we've discussed and plugged them into a Claude agent. Now you're a human on the loop. not a human in the loop. Claude stops being a tool and becomes an infrastructure. There are millions of ways to build an agent, so rather than walking you through one, I want to give a framework for thinking about them. First, start with one main agent. This is your agent, a chief of staff agent, admin agent, whatever fits. I have a CEO agent. That's your orchestrator. Mine is called Kai, and he barely does anything himself. He just directs agents. I know that sounds crazy. Next, create a specialized sub-agent, each one owning a single workflow. Your main agent talks to the sub-agents and tells them what to do. Third, connect Telegram so you can talk to your agent from your phone. Reese is my real estate agent, and he hunts for investment deals. Kai checks in with Reese daily and reports back to me, the same way he does with all my agents, without having me to do a thing. The agents think, decide, and execute within the parameters you set. We're building the machine that runs the machine. Here's a pro tip. I have a critique agent that my main agent calls in to review things like copywriting or research, produces a list of notes to make work better, hands it back to the original agent, and that agent runs it again. So I'll always have the best possible output. See how I'm no longer involved in the work? I'm the human in the loop. Partnering with AI lets me do far more than I could if I just had to sit there pushing information through my pipeline myself. And you can do this too. Most people just collect Claude features. Oh, I use that, I use this, but they never turn them into habits. So here's what you can do. Pick one of these features and commit to using it 30 days in a row. Maybe that's the Claude browser extension. Maybe you've advanced and it's every day I'm gonna work on an agent. I don't know what it is for you. Leave a comment and tell me what you're committing to. And remember, if you want an AI company OS playbook, the same one I used across my businesses, just DM me YouTube OS on Instagram and I'll send it right over. If you want to know the 6 most profitable AI businesses to start, click here and I'll see you on the other side.